Hello, and welcome to the webinar, Getting Ready for Submitting SCIP Notifications. My name is Clara Rueda, and I work in the Exposure and Supply Chain Unit here at ECA. The content shared today in the webinar is relevant mainly for companies who may have an obligation to notify articles containing substance of very high concern as a result of the Waste Framework Directive regulation. After this short introduction, my colleague Telmo Vieira Praceres will provide a presentation about the SCIP data preparation. Later, my colleague Ferran Villar Garcia will give us an update on the SCIP tools. Finally, my colleague Tommy Hack and myself will provide you presentations on the different tools that we have built to allow to refer to data already submitted to ECA. We will provide a demo on how to use these tools. We will end the webinar with some concluding remarks. During the whole webinar, you can take the opportunity to ask questions on the topics that we are going to see today to our online panelists. How you can submit your questions? Please join to our Q&A panel at slido.com. And here in the slide, you can see the event code needed. You can send questions at any time, and we will answer as many as possible until 3 o'clock Helsinki time. We are expecting many questions, so we will focus. We will be mainly focusing on answering questions related with the scope of the webinar. However, if your question is not answered by the end of the webinar, please send it to us using the ECA contact form. Let's start with the first presentations about the SCIP data preparation presented by my colleague, Telmo Vieira Praceres. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Telmo Vieira Praceres, and today my presentation will focus on the SCIP data preparation. Before providing you some recommendations how to get prepared and also solutions on the level of reporting, like how you could structure the grouping and the hierarchy on your presentation, on your notifications. I would like to first to provide you some introduction to the SCIP database and to the SCIP notification duty. At the end of my presentation, I will also provide recommendations for preparing and submitting the SCIP notifications. So the SCIP database is it is a database for substance of concern in articles, as such, or in complex objects. So it will focus on information that it will be submitted by suppliers of articles when these articles candidate list substance above 0.1% weight by weight. This duty has been established under the Waste Framework Directive, and also the Waste Framework Directive provides the task to establish and maintain this database to ECA. So the SCIP database ensures that information about substance of very high concern or candidate list substance is available throughout the whole life cycle of products and materials, including at the waste stage. So it focuses on the information that should be flowing from the production, the use, and then the recycling and reuse stage of articles and products. So the main objective of the SCIP database is to reduce the content of severely hazardous substance in materials and products, including in recycled materials. So we can then identify 3 subsets of objectives. One of them is to push for substitution of substance of concern, in particular the substance of very high concern placed on the candidate list that are present in articles, as well as the prevention of waste generation containing this hazardous substance. It will also contribute to improve waste treatment operations in order that the presence of this substance will not be present in recycled materials, or at least their content can be dramatically reduced. So this will contribute to a circular economy, in particular in using waste as a source, a resource for the production of articles. And then the SCIP database will also include information that it will be important and available for authorities in their regulatory work. The SCIP database was opened on the 28th of October of 2020, and now it is ready to receive data to fulfill the legal obligation. However, the obligation to notify will only apply as from the 5th of January of 2021, and the obligation starts when an article or a product contain an article with a candidate list substance is placed on the market. So the notification duty is applicable to any supplier of articles containing a substance of very high concern on the candidate list in a concentration above 0.1% weight by weight. So this includes EU producers and importers at the top of the supply chain, also assemblers, so who incorporate smaller articles into more complex objects or products, and then distributors who will distribute the final products or articles when they place them in the markets to reach the final users. Concerning non-EU suppliers, non-EU companies do not have a SCIP notification duty, and they are not allowed to submit SCIP notifications. However, the outside of the EU suppliers should support importers in the EU to fulfill their regulatory obligations, in particular by submitting SCIP notifications to ECHA when the articles or products containing articles as such contain candidate list substance above the 0.1% weight by weight. So the next part of this presentation will be to show how you can get prepared for notifying your notifications, your SCIP notifications. First, we would like to invite you to visit our SCIP webpage, where we will find some introductory material which introduce you to the SCIP database. We have a short video, an infographic, and also a leaflet which explains the basic principles concerning this duty. Then we also have a section in the website for suppliers of articles, where we explain a little bit which are the steps that you can take to get prepared, and how to prepare also the collection of data and to create dossiers to submit all the data to ECHA. You can also find some materials, so under the SCIP support section of the web page, and also the tools to prepare and submit the notifications. You can also find dedicated questions and answers for the SCIP notification duty and on the SCIP database overall. And if you don't find an answer to your question, you can also contact ECHA via our contact form. The website also includes a direct link where you can access to the tools to submit your notifications. So One recommendation for that we would like to provide to you is how we see how you could track better hazard substance in your supply chain from the placing of simple articles on the market, and then where you, for example, if you are an assembler, where you incorporate them in a more complex object or product, until a final actor will place the final product on the market to be distributed and then to reach the final users. I would like to recommend you the presentation that it was provided on the ECHA's online conference on safer chemicals, the presentation How to Track Hazard Substance in the Supply Chain, where you have a presentation and a video available from that conference, which explains how ECHA sees and understands the working of supply chains and the information flow in the supply chains from the chemical raw materials that are used to produce articles as such or in their own, and also when these articles are then incorporated in more complex objects. So how you can get prepared for SCIP? So you need first to find out whether you need to submit a SCIP notification. You should also know and understand the information requirements. You should know your portfolio of articles, adapt your data, prepare your submission by collecting the necessary information, and then finally submit your notification. All these steps are more extensively explained also in the presentation provided in the online conference on safer chemicals, on Get Prepared for SCIP, where each of these steps is explained in more detail. And a video is also available from that conference. Now focus on the SCIP requirements. We have published recently a document which contains all the information requirements and also other recommendations on how on the level of reporting, in particular how to structure your notifications for complex objects, and also how you could group articles on their own, or also articles that are incorporated in these more complex objects. So we have one chapter, one introductory chapter, which covers information about duty holders, the scope and timelines. Also a section which enters in the details of the information requirements, how the SCIP notification should be filled in with information gathered concerning your articles that are covered by the obligation. And finally, some recommended solutions for the level of reporting, so grouping and the hierarchy, which are important to simplify your work when preparing your notifications. Now focusing a little bit more on the information requirements. There are information requirements which are common for articles on their own, or also articles as such incorporated in complex objects, which are the article identification or the complex object identification. And it focuses on the names, the alphanumeric identifiers, on the categorization, in particular, so for the characteristics. It is important to mention that the article categories is a way for you to somehow identify the function and the use that is commonly understandable for a future user of the database. And it also contains values from a standardized list, which somehow describes these functions or use of articles, or at least how the articles are commonly known. And also not only articles as such or in their own, but also complex objects that incorporate the articles that contain the candidate list substance. Then there is also a section for safe use instructions, where you should enter any instructions in addition to the name of the candidate list substance, or the name or the identification of the candidate list substance that is present in the articles or in the components or subcomponents of a complex object. And then you should provide the safe use instructions that are needed, which cover the whole life cycle of the article, from the production, the assembling, the use, and also the waste stage, when the articles or the complex subjects become waste. Then there is one section which covers, or one set of requirements that are only applicable to complex subjects. There it is where you should identify the different components of a complex object. And this is the way how you describe the hierarchy, the different layers of the components and subcomponents of a complex object, which contain articles containing candidate list substance. And then you have one section which is only applicable to articles as such. And here, this section, which focuses on the concern elements, is where you should identify the candidate list substance that is present in the article, the concentration range of that substance in the article, and also the material where the substance is present. So the material from which the article is made from. So the material that the article is made of, and also, or in alternative, you can also identify that as the substance, the candidate list substance, is present in a mixture that it was used during a further processing step of the assembling stage, or further processing of the article. Like, for example, when you are joining two articles together by using an adhesive, or, for example, when you are coating an article, for example, when you are painting an article. Now, looking at the identification of articles and complex objects in your SCIP notification, it is a very important part of your notification. And we would like to highlight to you, or to stress, that the identification of the article needs to be provided in your SCIP notification, even if under the REACH Article 33.1, it doesn't seem that this should be done. However, when we look for the way the article, the communication in the supply chain works under Article 33.1, usually this information should be available on articles or products on the shelves, and also when in catalogs or by other means. So it's the way that you identify your portfolio of articles or complex objects that you are placing on the market. And usually this is available to your customers, including to consumers, if those articles will be sold to consumers. So when we compare the SCIP notification obligation with the communication in the supply chain, the conditions are the same. The information that needs to be communicated is also the same. And then the SCIP format, it was established for you to submit your SCIP notifications, but potentially it could be also used for you to communicate the information that is required under Article 33.1 of REACH in your supply chain to your customers. The target audiences of the information that will be submitted to ECHA are the waste operators, the consumers, and authorities. So all the data that you are submitted to ECHA will be disseminated, and it will be made available. And it will be made available to waste operators in order that this information can somehow support them in in driving waste stream decisions, to support compliance of reuse of articles that are placed again on the market as second-hand articles or products, and also to increase the compliant recycled materials. So materials that do not contain this substance, or at least their content, the presence of this substance in these recycled materials is reduced dramatically. Also, it may support consumers in empower them with to make informed choices when they are purchasing articles and complex objects. And also, if you provide some recommendations how to proper dispose the articles when they to enter in the waste phase, like for example to make separation of the articles when they become waste by consumers, then this information can also be submitted and it will be useful for consumers. At the same time, the information will be also used by authorities in order that they monitor what is present in the articles and complex objects placed on the market, to see if there is a need to address or to implement new regulatory actions in order to ensure the safe use of articles and also complex objects containing articles with candidate list substance. The available information can also support waste policy decisions by authorities in the member states, and also support enforcement actions by the enforcement authorities at national level. Now, our recommendation concerning the identification of the article or the complex subject that is being notified is that you provide sufficient identifiers that enable the search in the SCIP database for the information linked to a specific product placed on the market. For example, it will be useful for waste operators, consumers, authorities, and actors in the supply chain to easily search for the information for the articles that they are receiving or they wish to buy. So we strongly recommend you that you provide not only identifiers that are useful for you when you are creating and submitting the notification, so how to manage your data and your notifications, but also that you include sufficient information for in identifying the article and the complex subject that you are notifying, in order that you allow these users of the database to find the relevant information for the products that you are placing on the market. And you can do this by using or by providing further information or additional information under the other names and the other identifiers in your SCIP notification. The information that to be submitted to SCIP will be made available, and ECHA will publish the information as received on its website. So the quality of the data and also the completeness, the robustness, and the accuracy of the data remains the responsibility of each duty holder. ECHA receives the data and then will make it available via the dissemination portal or other means to waste operators, consumers, and other interested parties. There is also a document that goes into more details on the data that will be made available, and how ECHA is taking care of some confidentiality information that may be submitted in your notifications, and you can find detailed information in that document. How ECHA is protecting some information that can be considered confidential. So ECHA took the decision that it will not disclose the link between the information, the technical information in a notification and its submitter. So the name of the company that is submitting SCIP notification will not be disclosed. Also, ECA also includes another way to prevent the dissemination or to make available some sensitive information by not disseminating any identifiers for the components of complex objects, in addition to the name that you provide and also the article category. That is, for that reason, it is very important that you provide a name for your component articles that is understandable by the future users of the database, and you structure it in a clear and understandable way for any user of the database. And at the same time, you also use correctly or choose the correct value for the article category, how you describe your article in terms of function or use, or how the article is also commonly known. And for the level of reporting and text fields, it is your responsibility to avoid reporting information that could disclose other commercial sensitive information, like, for example, to submit notifications that will somehow detail too much the product composition and also could disclose trade volumes. Now, what are the recommendations, the recommended solutions for grouping? So how articles can be grouped in a SCIP notification in order that you can reduce the number of SCIP notifications. First, if you are a producer of fully identical articles, so articles on their own that have the same function or use, for example, when they have the same name and can be described with the same article category, if they have the same physical forms, the shape, the surface, and the design, and they also have the same chemical composition. So if you are producers of these articles that fulfill this criteria, then you can group all of them in one notification. So for example, if you have 100 fully identical screws, you don't need to submit 100 SCIP notifications. One notification can cover all the 100 fully identical screws. You can also group articles if they fulfill the criteria to be considered quasi-identical articles as such. And in this case, it's articles that have also the same function or use. So when you report your data, they have the same name and the same article category. They contain the same candidate list substance. The material that they are made of is the same, and the safe use instructions for these articles is also the same. So, which is a logical consequence of the previous two, the two previous criteria. So, the second and the third criteria or criterion. So the recommendation is, if the articles that you are placing on the market meet these criteria, they can be submitted in one SCIP notification, provided that you provide the right elements for the identification of each fully identical article that are included in this notification. So, for example, if you have O-rings that are made of the same rubber material and they have the same candidate list substance present in their composition, even if they have different dimensions, like, for example, the diameter or the thickness, you can group them in the same notification, provided that you also provide the specific identifiers of each one of the fully identical articles on this group of quasi-identical articles that your notification is covering. Now, if we go for complex objects, we also have a recommendation how you can group complex objects, and we provide some criteria where that can be used to see if the complex objects can be considered quasi-identical. And usually what it is, the meaning of this is that quasi-identical objects are complex objects that have exactly the same components and subcomponents, incorporating articles that contain the same candidate list substance. So the criteria can be done. So there are three specific criteria. The first one is the complex object units placed on the market need to have the same function or use. For example, in your SCIP notification, they have the same name and the same article category. The complex object units incorporated the same components and subcomponents. This means that they need to have the same function or use following the criterion 1. And the complex object or its components and subcomponents incorporate the same articles as such, which fulfill the criteria for quasi-identical articles as such listed in the previous slide when it was listed these criteria for quasi-identical articles as such. And then the safe use instructions are also the same for the complex object units, which is a logical consequence of the first and the second criteria. So our recommendation is that for all complex object units that meet these criteria, they can also be submitting the same SCIP notification. So for example, if a company is placing a smartphone on a market, the smartphone 100, with a specific brand and model, and also a barcode number, usually if this company, for example, placed on the market 649 units on the market, some of these units will have some combinations of components and subcomponents with articles as such containing candidate list substance, which are subject to the SCIP notification obligation. And if those combinations are the same for different sets of assembled units, where those units fulfill the criteria of quasi-identical complex objects, then you can provide one notification for each set of these units in one notification, where you need to specify a common primary article identifier. So going forward with this example of the smartphone, if you have a smartphone in these 649 units, if different units contain also different components with candidate list substance, then you can group them based on the components and the candidate list substance that are present in the articles. So for example, 200 units of this smartphone 100 contain a candidate list substance or a substance of area concern 1 in the contact within a capacitor that is assembled in the printed circuit board that then is present in or it is incorporated in the smartphone. And also the casing of this capacitor contains also a candidate list substance, so the SVHC2. And finally, the battery that is incorporated in this smartphone contains also a candidate list substance 3 or SVHC3. So if this is the case, all these units contain exactly the same articles as such with the same substance in the same subcomponents and components of the smartphone. Now, 350 units of those smartphones that the company is placing on the market contains only one candidate list substance in the contact of a capacitor that is assembled in the printed circuit board, which is incorporated in the smartphone. And in this case, for all those units that only contain this candidate list substance in that specific article, that is the contact, then you can also submit all these units in a single SCIP notification. And finally, if you have also 99 units from those 649 that only contains a battery with a candidate list substance, so the SVHC3. So then you can also group them in the same SCIP notification. So the ECA's recommendation for grouping quasi-identical complex objects is to submit one notification for each set of quasi-identical smartphones by attributing them a primary article identifier in your notification, and then you can group all those units that have the same components and subcomponents incorporating the same articles with the candidate list substance. And do not submit a SCIP notification for each individual unit, that it will be just repeating or providing data multiple times for the same complex object or quasi-identical complex object. And that should not be done. So do not submit SCIP notifications for each single unit. So the submissions for each single unit placed on the market must be avoided, because you are just submitting multiple times the same information for the same quasi-identical complex object, and that should not be done. And the Waste Framework Directive requires one notification per article and not per unit. So companies should also not submit identifiers or make them available in the supply chains to allow users to search in the SCIP database for the information that is linked to a specific product placed on the market. So any user of the SCIP database should be able to identify the specific unit that they wish to buy that belongs to those sets of, for example, the smartphone 100 that is being placed on the market that contains the same components and subcomponents incorporating articles as such with the same candidate list substance. So this can be, for example, be done by making the information available, for example, the SCIP primary identifier available when you are placing the articles on the market, which could be made available by different means, or companies could also adapt their practice in attributing identifiers to the different units in order that they accommodate this identification that will allow the users of the database to make search in the SCIP database. Now, what is the recommended solution for structuring the data of complex objects that contain components and subcomponents incorporating articles with the candidate list substance? So how many layers you need to specify in your notification in order to structure your the data in your dossier? Or a recommendation is to follow or to structure the hierarchy based on practical considerations, to include the number of layers that reflect the incorporation of articles in subcomponents, as well as the incorporation of subcomponents and components in that complex object at each assembling stage. So you should look to the most common to your supply chain and how the product or the complex object is assembled until it is the final product that is placed on the market to be used is assembled. So the final assembler in the assembling chain. And here we also would like to recommend industry and sector associations to support the company members in finding the better solutions that fit for purpose, in order that the companies are compliant and at the same time the data is structured in a way that is clear and understandable by the future users of the SCIP database. We also recommend that each company work in a collaborative way within the supply chain of that company with the suppliers and the customers. Using referencing in a SCIP notification when preparing the notification, it will be a key in order that you also simplify the complexity of your dossier that you are submitting to ECHA. So, looking a little bit in more detailed, how this structure in the hierarchy in the SCIP notification should be done. So if following our recommendation, you will follow the assembling of complex objects, look at the inputs and outputs at each assembling stage. For example, an assembler of a wheel will receive information from the tire supplier, and also from the flexible dog nut from the inner tube supplier. If these suppliers have already submitted a SCIP notification, for example, you could use referencing. This assembler of the wheel could use referencing to simplify this notification, and it will include information for the tire and for the inner tube using referencing. Now looking, for example, for the bicycle when it is placed on the market as a final assembled product, the information that has been flowing in the supply chain and that is incorporated at the assembling stage of the bicycle. Now the assembler of the bicycle will receive information from for example, the supplier of a handlebar grip, from the supplier of the wheel, and that information should already include, for example, the information from the supplier of the wheel should already include information for the tire and the inner tube, and so on. And if you use referencing, the bicycle assembler only would need to include or to refer to the data already submitted to ECHA by their suppliers of the handlebar grip and also for the supplier of the wheel. So we strongly recommend to use referencing whenever possible in your supply chain, also to simplify your SCIP notification and to structure the hierarchy in your SCIP notification. Finally, I would like to leave some recommendations for preparing and submitting SCIP notifications. So be transparent by making efforts to submit and structure your information in a clear, understandable way to be useful for users of the SCIP database, while ensuring compliance and also to contribute to achieve the goals of the SCIP or the objectives of the SCIP database. Keep also in mind your company's image, because be aware that the information that you are submitting will be publicly available on ECHA's website in the SCIP database and will potentially be subject to scrutiny by the users of the database, like namely the waste operators, the consumers, NGOs representing the interest of consumers, and also the member states authorities. So be aware that the information that you are submitting will potentially be subject to scrutiny by those users. The SCIP notifications without information, in addition to the mandatory fields to submit a successful notification, are potentially not compliant and may not fulfill the SCIP objectives. What I mean by this is that if you are submitting a SCIP notification, we only providing information in the mandatory fields that will allow you to submit a successful notification may not be enough to be compliant with the SCIP obligation. And you should assess the information that you are submitting in order that you are compliant with the obligation. If you are, for example, placing on the market articles or complex objects that are intended to be sold to consumers, You should also provide the name and any alphanumeric identifier that is available to the consumers in order that they can find out the relevant information for the article or complex object that they wish to buy. Avoid submission of incomplete or unclear SCIP notifications. So this means that you should provide a clear identification for the article or complex objects, as I explained before, to enable searches by the users of the database. Provide also sufficient information, including instructions to support waste operators to treat properly waste. Once these the articles or the complex objects that are placed on the market and after they are used or they reach their service life, the end of their service life, become waste. So try to include as much information as possible that it will also be useful for waste operators. Report the information following the purpose of each field. For example, don't use fields to report information that should not be included in those or in those fields. For example, do not use the safe use instructions to report the location of a candidate list substance. That should be done under the concern elements of the articles as such section. Avoid to submit the same information multiple times. This means that you should not make submissions for each unit of the complex object placed on the market, where you can group those units using the quasi-identical complex object criteria. Take sufficient time before submitting your notification to work in a collaborative way within your supply chains with your suppliers and customers. Use reference to the extent possible in your SCIP notification in order that you can simplify your dossiers and facilitate the work of the distributors placing your products on the market by allowing them to use the simplified SCIP notification. And this can be done if you provide to your customers the SCIP number that you receive when you are submitting the SCIP notification. This will be explained in further details in the next presentations. Prepare also simpler notifications by using referencing and following the grouping and the hierarchy recommendations from ECHA that are present in the SCIP requirements in the requirements for SCIP notifications document. We have some examples there, and that document can help you to prepare simpler notifications if you use the advice from ECHA. If you are submitting your notifications via system to system, consider asking your IT service provider to implement features that allow you using referencing and also allow you to follow the grouping and the hierarchy recommendations from ECHA. Avoid submit notifications by mistake. ECHA is not able to delete submissions, neither prevent its dissemination. So make sure that when you are submitting a notification, you are doing it for your final notification after checking the information that it is included there, and don't make submissions by mistake, because ECHA is not able to delete those submissions, neither prevent its dissemination. Avoid to the extent possible the need to submit updates to correct minor mistakes. So make sure that ensure that the quality of the data before you submit your notification. Run the validation of your dossiers in Euclid before submitting your notification. And if you are submitting your notification via system to system, please validate representative dossiers in Euclid. Become also familiarized with the validation checks that are implemented in the ECHA submission portal, in addition to those available in Euclid. And you can find more information on the validation rules for the SCIP notification. So with this, I finalize my my presentation. I hope that these recommendations will help you in preparing your notifications and submitting them smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you, Telmo, for the data preparation walkthrough and recommendations explanation. Now we are going to focus on the IT tools that ECHA puts available in order for industry to submit and prepare the data for the SCIP database. My name is Ferran Villar. I work in the iDirectorate in ECHA, and I am part of the SCIP team. To start with, we are just going to review the main three ways and manners that are available in order for industry to prepare and submit the data. The first one is the online ECHA cloud service. So ECHA puts available a service that is maintained by ECHA, and it's secure, and it's maintained by us, and it helps you to prepare your own data and submit it. The second way is using ECHA tools offline. So you can download almost the same products that are available online, but offline, and then use them in your own infrastructure. This option also gives you new functionalities like the public Euclid API. And finally, we are just going to walk through the system-to-system service, which is a way of automating the submission, and it's prepared for big batches and a big amount of articles submissions. To start with, I would like you to remind you of the ECHA video tutorials that are already available on the net. So I would encourage you to take a look on YouTube channel from ECHA, and you will realize there that we have already plenty of tutorials and material available for how to create an account, how to subscribe to the ECHA cloud services, how to add users into your legal entity, or how and know more about the Euclid Cloud in general. The tools that we are going to use in order to submit data for the SCIP database are the Euclid 6. We encourage you to visit the website. If you prefer to use the offline version, you will find the download repository center in the Euclid 6. Or you can find more information at the public API descriptions that can be used on the offline Euclid 6 version. Then we have the submission portal, that it is, let's say, the core of the submission of the data as the place that you are going to use in order to submit, or even just to check the submissions that you have realized for the SCIP notifications. As you can see here, it's also used for the SSN, simplified SCIP notifications that are going to be presented later on this webinar. For the S2S, the initial item or the activity that needs to be triggered is to get onboarded. How you can do that? Well, you need to require the access through the contract form. You will specify the details of your legal entity, and then ECHA will review that your account is in place, that your legal entity are correctly set up, and will give you access. Once you have the access, you can use the keys in order to generate the secure tokens that need to be used for the submissions. There are materials available either on the ECHA website or in the SCIP IT user groups materials that show you step by step how to do that. The S2S service request, as I mentioned, need to include the ECHA account username, the legal entity UUID, and the legal entity name. Ideally, we are also happy to receive a long amount of legal entities, UUIDs, all together bundled in a single request, so we can accelerate also from our side the S2S keys availability for the usage. We have two environments put available for you in order to prepare and submit the data. The production environment is the one that you will need to use in order to fulfill your obligations. But keep in mind that all the submissions that are going to be received in the production environment will be published. At the moment, there is no manner, and we have no intention of removing specific submissions. So we encourage you to take a look at the submissions to make sure that the submissions are correctly identified as a test or production environment. So there is not any mistake on test data being sent to production environment. For the test environment, we recommend you to pay attention to those variables that are available for the mainly S2S in order to avoid these mistakes. For the manual submissions, this becomes a bit more easy to understand because the submission portal for test environment have a special identifiers that would also take your attention when realizing the submissions. ECA is willing to support you while you prepare your notifications. Do you want to share your notifications with ECA? We are willing to do that. As mentioned by Chelmo, we have identified a set of recommendations that we are moving forward, and we would be happy to help you understanding them and going deep into them. We are going to be able to provide you easy comment regarding the identification of the articles, about the hierarchies that you have used or that you have doubts on how to apply them, or on the grouping selections that you are thinking on using. Remember that any example that we will receive will only be used for this purpose, will not be disclosed and will not be disseminated in any manner. Now is the right moment to do so. We are preparing all the data. Let's do it once and right, because we also want to avoid that situation in which we would be keeping and receiving more and more updates of notifications in order to update them and correct them. Documentation available. In the SCIP website, you will find all the information necessary for the S2S or for the format, how to create the I6Z files, how to group, how to use the hierarchy, how to use the tools to refer data. You will find information about the S2S integration document, about the JSON API descriptions that are necessary in order to perform the integration. All the material is available for you, and in case of doubts, just call us or send us a contact form request. We have plenty of documentation within the SCIP website and ECA website. We recommend you to take a look on them, questions and answer, requirements, information requirements, and then all the specific technical documentations, such the tools to refer data, the getting prepared for the notifications, or the descriptions about the I6Z format. We would encourage you to take a look on the system-to-system integration if it's the case that you are approaching the S2S integration, and we would encourage you to contact us in case of any doubt. Well, that's all in this particular moment regarding the IT tools and the revision of which tools ECA put available for you to submit and prepare data into the SCIP database. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Clara Rueda, and on this presentation, my colleague Tommy Hack and myself, we're going to provide you an introduction on the tools that we have built to refer to data that has been already submitted to ECA, to the SCIP database. We will provide you also a demo on how to use these tools. The aim of these tools to refer to data successfully submitted to SCIP is first, reduce the complexity of the obligation. It will facilitate the management of the data, and it will reduce the need to repeat already submitted data. But how it works? With these technical solutions, a company can create a notification by referring to a previous notification. This approach is called Simplified SCIP notifications. It can be mainly used by distributors, but we have also identified other possible use cases that can get benefit of this tool. The second approach can be used, for example, for assemblers of complex objects that can use this technical solution to create a lightweight dossier for a complex object, and by including referencing to already submitted information for components in the complex object. This approach is called referencing in a SCIP notification. It's important to remember that each duty holder is responsible for the information submitted. So it is up to the individual actors in the supply chain to enter in the necessary arrangements if considered needed to use these voluntary tools. Let's start to review deeper referencing in a SCIP notification. An assembler using referencing can create a lightweight dossier for a complex object, where the complex object component information is represented by the SCIP number of the already submitted component. But what is this SCIP number? It's a unique identifier provided by ECA after the final outcome of the submission of a SCIP notification of an article. This SCIP number will identify a set of information for an article notification submitted by one specific duty holder. So a precondition to use this referencing in a SCIP notification is to receive this SCIP number of the articles or complex object SCIP notification already submitted to ECA. For instance, the SCIP number can be an element of the information to be provided by, to you by your supplier under REACH Article 33.1. The common scenarios that can use these tools, for example, are assemblers that have to create SCIP notifications for complex objects, and they can refer on those notifications to data already submitted by their suppliers. But maybe also it can be used by assemblers making reference to data that they have already submitted. The basic principles to use referencing are the following. It is not allowed to change any change on the physical form or on the composition of the reference article. The reference article is always a component of a more complex object, as we can see here, for example, for the bicycle. And also, the article reference cannot have additional components linked to it. Finally, it's important to understand that by using referencing, you are linking your notification to a previous notification. For example, if you are linking your notification to your supplier's notification of a complex object notification, by using referencing, you are linking your notification to your supplier's notification. So if your supplier updates his notification, your notification will be automatically updated with this new information. Let's take a look on the use case that we are going to use on our demo. We are a bicycle producer. We will be a bicycle producer located here in Helsinki, Finland. And our wheel supplier has informed us that the wheel A that he supplied to us contains a substance of very high concern. So he informed us also that he has already submitted a SCIP notification for the wheel A, and he would like to share, he wants to share the SCIP number of this notification with us, so we can create a SCIP notification using referencing. We have identified that this type of wheel that he mentioned is used in one of our bikes, the CB Blue Steel 26-inch bicycle. So we have an obligation to submit a SCIP notification for it. Let's see an overview of how referencing works. In the first place, we have our wheel supplier. He identified that the wheel A contains a substance of very high concern included in the candidate list in a concentration above 0.1% weight by weight. So he knows that he has the obligation to submit a SCIP notification to ECA, and he submits the notification. After a successful submission, he will receive the SCIP number related with the notification of this wheel A. If he wants to support his customers, he can share the SCIP number with them, maybe as part of the information that he's obliged to supply according to REACH Article 33.1 obligation. The third part is the third step is the assembler of the bicycle, as this producer that is in Finland. So we have to prepare the notification of the bicycle. And as we have received this SCIP number from our suppliers, we can create a lightweight dossier. It means that we will prepare the notification of the bicycle, and the information that has to be reported for the wheel, it's only the SCIP number. And with this SCIP number, we are referring to the previous notification done by our supplier of wheels. Once we have prepared the dossier, we submit the SCIP notification to ECA. After the successful submission, we will get a SCIP number related with the bicycle. And we can share this SCIP number with our customers to support them to refer to our notification. Regarding the first part of this overview, I would like to inform you that there is a lot of support documents, and we have done already a demo on how to create, prepare and submit a SCIP notification for an article as such or a complex object. So for this first part of the slide, you already have information available and a demo available on an SCIP webpage. The demo will be focused now on how the bicycle assembler has to prepare the notification for the bicycle by using referencing. As we said, a precondition to use referencing is to receive the SCIP number of the article's SCIP notification that has been already submitted to ECA. You can find the SCIP number in the submission report after a successful SCIP notification submission. So here in the screen, you can see where the SCIP number is. If you need to share many SCIP numbers, you can export all of them in bulk using the export to Excel functionality that you are seeing in the screen, which is in the search section of the ECA submission portal. Okay, how we can use referencing, how this bicycle producer will use referencing. The first step is to create an ECA account in order to be able to use the ECA tools. The demo to prepare the SCIP notification will be done in the Euclid Cloud. To prepare the SCIP notification, we can divide the process in 3 main steps. One is the dataset creation, which is the compilation of all the information related with the bicycle. Okay. In this case, we're going to use referencing for the wheel. So the information that we would include in the dataset for the wheel will be only the SCIP number. After when the dataset contains all the information, we recommend to go to do a validation process to ensure basic consistency and integrity of the data. Once we have passed the validation, we can create the dossier. The dossier is a photograph, a snapshot in one specific moment in time of the dataset. Okay, so it's not editable, and it's the only file, the only ISISC file that can be submitted to the ECA submission portal. Once the dossier is ready, we can submit it to the ECA submission portal, following the next steps. First, we will upload the dossier and then submit it. Then the system will make some submission validation checks. And in our case, as part of these checks, the SCIP number validity will be reviewed. And finally, we will get a submission outcome. So let's start with the demo. You can access to the ECA Cloud service from the ECA main page by accessing to the ECA Cloud Services page or from the SCIP database webpage. Here in this webpage, I recommend you to come here to see all the supporting information that we are making available for you, some news and other interesting manuals and supporting information. From here, you can access to the ECA Cloud service. If you have an ECA account, you can directly log in by entering your username and password. And when you are done, you click on Login. Once you enter on the ECA Cloud service, you access to the ECA Cloud platform. From here, you can subscribe to the ECA Cloud service and the submission service made available by ECA. Let's start preparing the SCIP notification on the Euclid Cloud, accessing to the Euclid Cloud services by clicking Access Service. Once you enter in the Euclid Cloud, you access to the Euclid dashboard. In it, you can find different Euclid entities. The nut and the bold icon is the door to access article information. It includes a number next to it. This number is the sum of the datasets and dossiers you have created or imported into your Euclid instance. For more details and more explanation about the functionalities that you can see in the dashboard, I recommend you to take a look on the support material on how to prepare and submit a SCIP notification and other specific Euclid tutorials. Click on the nut and bold icon in the Euclid dashboard to access to the article landing page. This is the article page, which contains a list of all the article datasets that you have created. The first time you access it will be empty. By clicking dossiers here on the upper right side of the screen, you switch to the list of created dossiers. Let's go back to datasets. Here you have different options to search, a simple search or advanced search. To look for the datasets that you have prepared by using different criteria, not like the name, primary article identifiers, or the substance that are included on them. Let's create the dataset of the bicycle using referencing. For it, first we click on New Article button. Provide a name that is meaningful to manage the article, and then include the primary article identifier type and value. It's very important to read our recommendations about how to identify the article you are notifying, which are already available in our document Requirements for SCIP Notifications. In the previous presentation provided by Telmo, you have more information about these recommendations. In our case, we will include here the name of our bicycle that we want to notify. And then we will select the primary article identifier type. We will select, for example, the EN code and the code. And then click on Create. Then we can click Open to enter in the dataset. The first part of the dataset includes the identifier section. You can include as many as names and other identifiers as needed. And for complex objects placed on the market for consumers, at least identifiers available to consumers like the European article number or the brand or the model should be provided in these fields. So let's also include, for example, the brand of our bike by selecting the type. So I select brand and then the value. And then close. But also I can include, for example, on other article identifiers, click on New Item to include another article identifier. And then we can select, for example, the type, a catalog number. The next section is the categorization. The scope of the article category field is to provide information on the function or use of the article notified. The aim of this article category field is to provide a common understandable name or description from a harmonized list. This would be very helpful when the identification of the article is not ensured by the article name assigned. The selectable values, as you can see here, we have a nice tree that will help the user to select the appropriate value. The selectable values are based on the existing harmonized list, the integrated tariff of the European Union tariff list. And please note that this field is really important when using this data to identify relevant waste streams that include candidate list substance. You need to choose the article category that describes your article. Let's look for our article category for our bike. Okay, I see it here. I click on it and then select. If you already have the code, you may also include the code here, and the system will help you to find to select the code. The next field is the information about the origin of the article. Okay, so our bicycle is produced in EU. The next section is the characteristics. So here you can include the different characteristics of the article you are notifying in order to help to identify the article. We encourage you to think that we should ensure with the information that you report a proper identification of the article that you are notifying. So here I'm going to include a picture of the bike, select file, and then I have the bicycle, the picture of the bicycle, and then I click on close when it is loaded. And then maybe we can also include the color of the bike. It's blue. So we select blue. And let's include also the length of the bike. It's 2 meters. Don't forget to include the units. Okay, the next section is the safe use instruction section. In this section, you can include some free text to provide information to allow the safe use of the article you are notifying. And you can include also some disassembling instructions like a PDF. Let's include some of them by clicking on New Item. Then you click on None, and then you attach a document. If you attach some PDF instructions, we recommend you to include the language. So it will be easy to understand what kind of information has been provided later on. And then you click on Close. If you think that no specific safe use instructions are needed, you can just click on this checkbox, and you will state that the identification of the candidate list substance is sufficient to allow the safe use of the article through the whole life cycle, including service life, disassembling, and waste recycling stage. In our case, we are going to introduce some free text, some safe use information by typing it here. Just a quick note, next to all the fields that you may find this question mark icon, and if you press there, you will have a little bit of information of what is the meaning of this section and some help on how to provide information useful for it. How to use this field, okay? What is the kind of information that we expect to be reported there? Okay, let's continue with the next section is the complex object component section. In this section, we have to link the components. This section is only used when you are creating a dataset for a complex object. So it's our case, it's this bicycle. And for that, we have to link here the components that contains the candidate list substance. Okay, so we click on, in our case, is the wheel. And I will also include here another component, which is the handlebar grip, to show you the difference on the information when you are using referencing and when you are not using referencing. Okay, so let's start first with the wheel. You click on New Item. And then you click on Article. And select. A sliding window is displayed on the right side. Okay. And in this window, you can create a new article you want to link to your complex object, or you can select an existing one that is available in your article dataset list. Okay. In our case, we are going to create an article for the wheel. So click on Create. First, we will include an article name which is meaningful for us to manage the dataset. Okay, so for example, wheel a 26-inch. Then we need to provide the SCIP number. How to do this? In the primary article identifier type, we have to select a SCIP number. And then we provide the SCIP number that we receive from our supplier. This is the only information that has to be included in this dossier for the wheel. Then we click on Save. Then you can include the number of occurrence of the wheel in your article. So in our case is 2. Then we click on Save. Now you can see on the left side of the screen the tree view of the dataset. Okay, so we have a top-level entity, which is the bicycle, and then one component, which is the wheel. As I said, let's also link another component to our bicycle, the handlebar grip, so we see how it works. We click on New Item, then we click on Article, select, and then we will select a dataset for the handlebar grip that I have already prepared. In this case, as I said, we are not using referencing for the handlebar grip, so I have to provide all the information for the different sections that we have seen. So proper identifiers, categorization, the article category, the origin of the product, characteristics, information about the safe use instructions, and also information about the concern element. What is the candidate list, the concentration rate, the material category of the article. So as you see, there is much more information when you are not using referencing. Then you click on Save. Then you click on Save again. And on the left side, we can see that our bike now contains a wheel and a handlebar grip, and that the handlebar grip contains a candidate list substance. Once you have created your dataset, you can run a validation process to improve the quality of your notification and to avoid failures after submissions. For that purpose, we have to select a working context here on the left side, top left side. We select the SCIP working context. and then click on Validate. The system allows you to include the name of the dossier that you can create after the validation assistant. You can now, or you can update it later. So I'm going to fill it right now. So for example, dossier version 1 from November. And then you click on Validate. The validation assistant carries out checks according to a set of predefined rules to verify that the information was inserted as expected. The outcome, just let you know that the complete list of validation rules is available right now as part of the support materials included in the SCIP webpage, okay, on the document validation rules for SCIP notifications. So you can have a look on what are the validations rules that are running in this process. Okay, on the validation assistant report, I mean, what you can see here, if there is any check rule that have failed or if you have any warning. Right now, we don't have any submission rules fail or quality checks fail. So we have these messages that no business rule failures has been detected. But it's of course, it's important to understand that some business rules can only be checked at the dossier level and at the submission portal level. And so there are some differences between the checks done here in Euclid and the checks done in the submission portal. For example, the checks done on the submission portal will check the validity of the SCIP number that you have provided. Okay, let's go back to the dataset to continue the process to create the dossier. Now that we have compiled all the information and we have validated it, we can create the dossier by clicking Create Dossier button. Again, you can change the dossier name and then create the dossier. Click Create the Dossier button. We can open the dossier when it has been created. And here you can see information about the dossier, like this is the information about the name and the primary article identifier type and value, the date when the dossier has been created, the dossier name, and on the left side you can see the tree of our complex object. And if by clicking on the different sections, you can see what is the information that is related with it. Okay, so this is the information from the handlebar grip, and this is the information from the wheel. Important thing is here in the tree, you can see this arrow next to the icon, the nut and bolt icon. It means that here the information for the wheel is provided by reference, will be provided by reference. Okay, so it only includes the SCIP number, as you can see here. So once we have the dossier is ready, we can proceed to submit to it by clicking on Proceed to Submission. After click on Proceed to Submission, the submission portal will be open, including the dossier uploaded. Okay, if you have made some mistakes, you can still remove the dossier, or if the dossier is ready, you can click on Submit to send the notification. The system will assign you automatically a submission number for this process. If you click on the submission part number, you can enter on the submission report of the process. The submission report includes many information. For example, the submission status. Okay, there are 3 different status. Validation succeed status. It means that the submission has passed the validation checks and the dossier has been forwarded to the SCIP database. So the work has finalized, the work is done. Validation succeed with an warning sign, and this means that the submission has passed the validation checks with warnings. A validation report listing the potential deficiencies will be available for the submitter, but the dossier has been forwarded to the SCIP database, so you don't need to do any additional steps. Finally, the third status is failed. In this case, the dossier has failed the validation checks and has not been forwarded to the SCIP database. A validation report will also be provided listing the deficiencies found, and a new submission must be made. Okay, if you receive a failure in a submission status, it means that the SCIP notification dossier has not been forwarded to the SCIP database. Then you can have here information about the submitter, about the information about the submission, the SCIP number of the submission. This number is the one that you may want to share with your customers to allow them to refer to your notifications. The article name, primary article identifier type and value, the dossier name. The submission events are the different timestamp events in the submission process. So, for example, when the dossier has been submitted and when has passed the validation checks on when it has failed. Okay. Then you have here article information and all the submission history related with this SCIP number. In the submission portal includes now a new menu here on the left that allows you to easily access to the different sections of the submission portal. So if you click on the menu, you can see here in the middle all the sections related with the SCIP that are included in the ECA submission portal. The section to submit a Euclid dossier. Here you can upload and submit a dossier. Also, you can have here the section to submit a simplified SCIP notification. My colleague Tommy will show you how to use it later on. And then, for example, the section to search for SCIP notification. And here you can have access to all the submissions related with your legal entity. You can see the status of each submission, if it's an initial or if it's an update, and information related with its submission. As we said, if you need to have information of SCIP numbers in bulk, you can have a list of all your submission and the related SCIP numbers by using this export to Excel functionality. So it will help you to later on share your SCIP numbers with your customers, maybe. Just one last remark. If the information of the bicycles needs to be updated, you can edit the information included in the dataset of the bicycle and create a new dossier, an updated dossier. So the submission by the same legal entity of this update dossier, of this new dossier, with the same primary article identifier type and value, will be received as an update of the SCIP notification for this bicycle. Okay, but also have in mind that when you are using referencing, when the notification you are referencing to is updated, your notification is automatically updated too. Okay, you are linking your notification to the previous notification. So this concludes my part of the demo, and now I leave the floor to my colleague Tommy Hack to continue with the tools to refer to already submitted information, already submitted information to the SCIP database.
Hello everyone, my name is Tommy Hegg, and today I'm going to show you and explain to you how the simplified SCIP notification that we have developed in ECA to support you in creating simpler notification works. First of all, the SSN, as we call it, the simplified SCIP notification, is a solution to refer to information already submitted to ECA by your supplier. The way that it's working is that you're submitting an existing and relevant SCIP number without the need to prepare a dossier through the ECA submission portal. it's important to keep in mind that there are preconditions that relate. So first of all, you need to make sure that you receive the skip number for the article or notification already submitted to ECHA. We expect that this data might be submitted to you via the Article 231 with the information about the contents of SVHCs in your article. The main target group for this feature are the distributors, those which are in the same supply chain and don't do any changes to the article. So the basic principle for the simplified skip notification is that the product received is the same product that is supplied. So no changes to the article. If there are no changes to the article, you can submit your submission without creating a dossier. So the distributor links his notifications to the supplier and does not need to submit any updates. That means that when the supplier submits a new update of the article, you are already covered. What do we mean when we say what product received equals product supplied means? It means for articles as such, it means that there are no changes on the physical form or composition of the article supplied. For complex objects, it means that there are no changes on the complex object supplied in comparison to the complex object received. For both cases, the different identification elements, so the name, the alphanumeric identifiers, article category, and so on, is the same as the article or object received. Now, how does the functionality works? So it starts with a bicycle supplier. The bicycle supplier needs to indicate by submitting a rich data dossier to the SCIP database containing the information about the bicycle. After the supplier have done this, they will get back their SCIP number. Now the supplier can, together with their information, share this SCIP number to their distributors. The distributors of the same bike fulfill then the requirements for the simplified SCIP notification, and they don't have to prepare a data package. The only thing they need to do is to take the SCIP number provided by the supplier, go to the submission portal, and submit the simplified SCIP notification. As a result, they will get an own SCIP number for that submission, and this new SCIP number they can use to give to the next company in the supply chain for it. So the SCIP number is made available in the submission report of the successfully submitted notification. It can either be copied there one by one, or then we also have an export to Excel feature where you can export multiple SCIP numbers at the same time. So quickly in brief, how does it work? So it starts with that the company who wants to use a simplified SCIP notification needs to first create an ECHA account. Then they go to the ECHA submission portal to submit the simplified SCIP notification. They upload and submit by adding one or more SCIP numbers. I will show that later on in a demo how that works. Then after that has been submitted, there is a validation which is happening to check that the SCIP number is valid and correct and is belonging to a validly correctly submitted article. If not, it will fail. If it's valid, everything is okay, and there will be a submission outcome which is successful. So in this first demo use case, I will show you how one simple transaction will happen. So in this case, I will act as a bicycle distributor located in Helsinki. And my supplier of bicycles has indicated that some of the parts for my bike contains substances of rare concern. She informs me that she already submitted the SCIP notification for the bicycle and provide me the SCIP number. Let's go and see how that should be done in the application. So here in the first use case, I'm going to show you how I, as a distributor, who were informed by my supplier that the product, which in this case is a bike, that I'm distributing contains a candidate list substance. So my supplier provided me with his SCIP number. As a presetting, I have already created a ECA account for me. So when I go to the ECA Cloud Services and I click on Login, it asks me for my username and password. So I created this up front. So my name is called Webinar Distributor. And then I put in my password and I log in with my ECA accounts. From the ECA Cloud landing page, I can choose to go to the real submission service. So this one, I access the service. I look under my SCIP options and I see that this is the link I can follow to submit a simplified SCIP notification. Coming here, I see that there are two options, one to upload or one to provide the number directly. In this case, I was given the number by my supplier. So I copy the number from his email into my thing and I click on submit. It does the process as described, does a check, and it shows me that I have performed my submission. It gives me a submission number. By clicking on the submission number, I can go and see the submission report for this number, or I can do a new submission. In this scenario, I want to see it. So I click on it, and I can now see that I have submitted a dossier for the article RR Blue Steel. I see that this is the SCIP number that I referred to. So this is the SCIP number of my supplier. Here I can see the part number that my supplier used. So if I want to go to the ECA dissemination website and look this article up to see what it actually contains for substances, I can do that. And this is the SCIP number that I have received. So now when I continue in the supply chain to supply my bicycle, I will give this number, so my number, down the supply chain. From the clicking on the menu and going for search my SCIP notifications, I can see all the SCIP notifications I have done. And here I then see that I have done a SCIP notification for RR Blue Steel. For my second small demo, I'm going to show how you can deal with the situation where there are companies at the top of a parallel EU supply chain where there is no direct commercial relationships. For example, sister companies in a group or company with exclusivity rights and agreements to place product from a brand in a specific member state market. Please keep in mind that each legal entity placing an article on the EU market that fulfills the obligation needs to submit a SCIP notification. So in this example, the company, the mother company is existing outside of the EU, and they do not have any duties to submit SCIP notifications. There are two main companies inside Europe that imports the article. To avoid having both companies submitting a data file, the extension of the SSN works in this following way. So the first company working in member state 1 takes the responsibility for submitting the full SCIP notification dossier. And for that, they will receive the SCIP number in a normal way. Then, via an intra-party arrangement, they will share that SCIP number with the other company belonging to the same chain. The second company will then do a simplified SCIP notification and receive a SCIP number for the exact same products. Then, as before, they will distribute their own numbers. The MS2 will submit their simplified skip number in the supply chain, and the first company will share its skip number in the supply chain. And in the same way, these recipients of the skip number will submit their own simplified skip notification. And the process continues along the supply chain downwards. So in this second use case, I will demonstrate how one affiliate 1 for company A, was requested via a contractual agreement to support the skip notification process for 2 EU affiliates of a non-EU company. So what they agreed to do is that affiliate 1 has been made a foreign user for affiliate 2 in order to submit on their behalf. Affiliate 1 has submitted 3 skip notification for the 3 articles. After that, they will extract an Excel file from the submission portal containing those 3 skip numbers. And then they will, with the power of the foreign user, submit them on behalf of affiliate 2. Let's go and see how that is done. In the second scenario, second use case, we will make it a bit more complex. So, as described, this use case covers 2 affiliates of a non-EU company and the agreement between them. So we start by first showing how the foreign user is linked between them. So I will start by logging in as affiliate number 2. So the company that will not do anything else than give the responsibility to the first affiliate. So I start by logging in to the cloud service as affiliate 2, sorry. I click here and I go to manage account and I move over to the ECA accounts, for where I can see that I'm under legal entity and I can see the link to manage the users. So for this company, I can see that I have currently only 1 user, and that is myself. But now I choose to add a foreign user. When I add a foreign user, I need to provide the username of the user and the primary legal entity, the legal entity that user has been created under. So as I said, I want to have the affiliate 1, so I select the user from that company. And since they have also provided me the primary legal entity UUID that they can find from their own ECA accounts, I click next and I get to see which roles I want to give them. Now I want him to be able to submit data for me, so I give him the submission portal manager role and I click next. And I will see that, okay, for this username, this is the email address for him. Yes, okay, I have given this role. And then it gives me a warning. But I'm fine with that because that's what I want to do. So I click add foreign user. Now in my ECA accounts, I can see that I have my own user, but I also have a foreign user, so this company. That is all that needed to be done by affiliate 2. So I will then log out from affiliate 2. Affiliate 1 then logs in. Their pre-made account and look at their legal entities. What they can then see is that they are working for affiliate 2 as a foreign user, and their home legal entity is affiliate 1. I'll go back to the dashboard of the ECA accounts and I go to the ECA Cloud Services. If I now have a quick look under the upper right corner under my own account here, I can see that the switch legal entity has now moved in a way that I can also choose to work for affiliate 2. We'll have a closer look at that when we do the submissions. So in this scenario, the target was that affiliate 2 will submit the physical dossiers for the 3 imported products, and then also do the simplified skip notification on behalf of affiliate 1. So we start by doing the submissions. I have prepared a bit, so if we access the cloud service, and we go to the articles and we select the pre-made dossiers, we see that affiliate 1 has 3 dossiers that they can now submit. A dancing elf and some Christmas lights. So I start by clicking on the snow shovel, the pre-created dossier, and I proceed to submission. By doing that, you can see that the snow shovel has been uploaded. It's already there. I click submit, and it has been submitted. Can I quickly go and see that it was successful? Yes, it was. It contains a substance, and that is done. I use the navigation to go back to the cloud service. I go again into my articles. I go to my dancing elf, and I submit that as well. Same flow, click submit, and it's there successful as well. Let's also submit the third one. So dossiers, created my Christmas lights, and proceed to submission. And submit. And have a look at it successful. Yes. Now if I go and have a quick look that everything is fine, I search my skip notifications. I can see that affiliate 1, I have now successfully succeeded in submitting my 3 dossiers for Christmas lights, for my dancing elves, and for my snow shovel. As these all 3 are the ones that I also want to submit for the second affiliate, I use the export to Excel feature. I click on it, and then I take save file. And you can see here that it is there. I can have a quick look at it. Can have a quick look at the content of the file. Need a second to open it up. And in this file, we can nicely see that there are the reference numbers, so the skip numbers of the products, and the names and some other identifier information about it. That is perfect. So what I will then do is that I choose to start working for affiliate 2. So I click on, I'm staying in the submission portal. I choose to switch legal entity to affiliate 2. See, after switching legal entity, you can still see that I'm the same user, but I'm now working for affiliate 2. The system automatically moves me to the cloud service front page, and I can see that affiliate 2 has not subscribed to the use of any Euclid clouds. But since they gave me the access right as portal manager, I can access the submission service. When I go to the submission first service, I can, let's say, first have a quick look to see if they have any submissions before. No, they do not, so no worries. I go there and I can continue to submit a simplified skip notification. So the target is that I should get the Excel file that I have searched for. So I click Browse, and I click Open. When I add the Excel file into this list, it quickly shows me a summary of it. So it tells me that I am now about to submit skip notifications for these 3 products. So Christmas lights, dancing elf, snow shovel, and that is exactly what I want to do because that's what I'm just submitted. I click on submit, and the process runs, and it gives me 3 submission numbers. Now I can click on them individually to see the outcome. or I can also just go to see search my skip notifications. So now what we see is that for affiliate 2, there are 3 notifications. If I open one of them, I see the exact same thing as a simplified notification before. So this is the skip number I referenced to, and this is the new skip number that I have received that I should be using to share in the supply chain. So this is how you do a simplified skip notification by using the file. And this is how you also can do it for affiliates, or in general, how you do it by working on behalf of someone else.
We would like to conclude this webinar with some take-home messages. The first one is to start to be prepared. You have to be ready to support your customers the sooner. You can get familiar with the available tools to prepare skip notifications, to submit them, and to refer to data already submitted that we have seen today. With this aim, you can use the trial services that are available in Euclid and on the ECA submission portal that my colleague Ferran has shown you. It's very important to follow the recommendations that we have seen today with Telmo. There are recommendations regarding an appropriate level of reporting. Please consider if quasi-identical articles can be grouped in one notification, and consider the way you are defining the hierarchy for very complex objects. Also ensure a proper identification of the articles on the skip notification. So later on, the information submitted would be easily to, more easily to use, okay? And following these recommendations, we think are key to the succeed of the SCIP database aim, okay, of the objectives of the SCIP database aim. I really encourage you to go to our SCIP web pages to see the different sections, the tools, the support material, the videos. We are working on the translations of main document, and you can have it there. You can also see news. We are going to work on, we are planning to provide there also some tips regarding the things that we are seeing when we receive the notifications, for example, which is the kind of rules that are failing a lot, so we can provide you some tips. So that's why I really encourage you to follow us on the SCIP webpage. Okay. This is the final presentation. Please remember that our QA panel will be open until 3 o'clock to answer any questions. And of course, if your question has not been answered on time by the end of this webinar, send it to us using the ECA contact form. Thank you for joining us today, and see you soon. Bye.